This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Stephen Gervais and Friends podcast. Today, as always, I'm your, I guess you could say, wonderful host, Stephen Gervais. But today, we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s. Also, before we get started, I'd like to say a big shout out to the podcast of the month, which I do believe is, hold on one second, Bev's Video Kingdom. Go check them out on the deluxeeditionnetwork.com. Also follow all of them on their socials. And also, if you love watching them or watching this podcast, go back to deluxeeditionnetwork.com and look at all the other podcasts on the network. They're all run by a bunch of great individuals and teams that love doing what they do, and check them out. You won't be disappointed. Also, I want to say some things about the statistics of mine on Goodpods. I'm number 6 in top 100 indie leisure weekly chart, number 6 in the top 100 leisure weekly chart, number 9 in the top 100 indie leisure monthly chart, number 10 in the top 100 leisure monthly chart, number 14 in the top 100 indie film reviews weekly chart. Thank you so very much to all the people that have made this happen. Couldn't have done without you, couldn't have done without the network, couldn't have done it without the team that I have meticulously built behind the scenes, and also couldn't do it without my wife, Alyssa Jarvis. Thank you so very much, and let's get into it, shall we? So last week we talked about the 80s of the Dallas Cowboys and how they kind of were on the right track at the beginning, but near the middle and the end, they kind of fell off. Tom Landry gets fired, a new owner by the name of Jerry Jones takes over, and Jimmy Johnson is now the new head coach. His first year, they go 1-15, but they do get Trey Aikman, and they also have Michael Irvin. So in the 90s, Jimmy Johnson quickly returned the Cowboys to the NFL's elite with a series of skillful drafts, having picked Aikman, fullback Daryl Johnston, and center Mark Stepnowski in 1989. Johnson added running back Emmitt Smith in 1990, defensive tackle Russell Maryland, and offensive tackle Eric Williams in 91, and safety Darren Woodson in 1992. The young talent joined holdovers from the Landry era, such as wide receiver Michael Irvin and guard Nate Newton, linebacker Ken Norton Jr., and offensive lineman Mark Toonley, and veteran pickups such as tight end Jay Novacek and defensive end Charles Haley. 1990. In 1990, the Cowboys finished 7-9, with Smith being named NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year and Johnson earning Coach of the Year honors. 1991. In 1991, Dallas finished with an 11-5 record, making the playoffs for the first time since 1985. The Cowboys beat the Chicago Bears 17-3 in the wild card round. In the divisional round, they faced the Lions, who had beaten them earlier in the season. Detroit went in for a repeat performance, dismembering the Cowboys 38-6 for their first and to-date only postseason victory since 1957. The 91 Cowboys also became the first team to feature the league leaders in rushing yards Smith and receiving yards Irvin. The 91 season also marked Dallas's return to Monday Night Football after an absence of 2 years. In 1992, the Cowboys finished with a 13-3 record, second best in the league, boasted the league's number one defense, reached their peak in popularity, many road fans were cheering for the Cowboys and finally avenged their 1981 NFC Championship game loss to San Francisco by defeating the Niners in the conference title game 30-20 in a muddy Candlestick Park. The Cowboys went on to crush the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl 52-17, forcing a Super Bowl record 9 turnovers. QB Troy Aikman was named MVP after completing 73.3% of his passes for 273 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions for a passer rating of 140.7, and even outrushed Bills running back Thurman Thomas 28 yards to 19. Emmitt Smith rushed for 108 and became the first NFL rushing champion to win a Super Bowl in the same season. Coach Johnson became the first coach to claim a national championship in college football and a Super Bowl victory in professional football. The following season, the Cowboys finished with a 12-4 record in the regular season. They again defeated the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, this time by a score of 38-21 at Texas Stadium, and again defeated the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl, this time by a score of 30-13. The Cowboys set an NFL record 11 players to the Pro Bowl: Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Thomas Everett, Daryl Johnston, Russell Maryland, Nate Newton, Ken Norton Jr., Jay Novacek, Mark Stepanowski, and Eric Williams. Emmitt Smith won his 3rd rushing title despite missing the first 2 games of the season, which the Cowboys went 0-2 over a contract dispute, and was named both NFL and Super Bowl MVP. Smith is one of only 6 players to win both the NFL MVP award and Super Bowl MVP award in the same season, is the only one of these 6 players who is not a quarterback. The Switzer era. 1994, attempt of a three-peat thwarted. Only weeks after the 1993 Super Bowl, however, friction between Johnson and Jones culminated in Johnson stunning the football world by announcing his resignation. The next day, Jones hired former University of Oklahoma head coach Barry Switzer to replace Johnson. Norton and guard Kevin Gogan departed via free agency, but Dallas drafted offensive lineman Larry Allen, who became a mainstay on the line for the next decade. In 1994, the Cowboys played before the largest crowd ever attend an NFL game when 112,376 in Mexico City turned out for a preseason match against the Houston Oilers. The Cowboys cruised to another NFC East title in 1994. They finished the regular season 12-4, with their 4 losses coming by a combined 20 points. The team suffered key injuries, however, when Eric Williams was lost for the year after a mid-season auto accident, and Emmitt Smith was hobbled for the final month with a pulled hamstring. Dallas advanced to the NFC Championship game where they faced San Francisco for the 3rd consecutive year. Dallas fell behind 21-0 in the first quarter, and despite a later comeback, the 49ers held on to win 38-28, thus denying the Cowboys their chance of winning a record 3 consecutive Super Bowls. 1995, 5th Super Bowl victory. In 1995, Jones made a huge free agent splash by signing All-Pro corner Deion Sanders away from San Francisco. Dallas posted another 12-4 regular season record and NFC East crown. Emmitt Smith won his 3rd rushing title and scored a then NFL record 25 rushing touchdowns after crushing the Eagles 31-11 in the divisional playoffs. The Cowboys earned their 8th NFC Championship title by defeating the Green Bay Packers 38-27 at Texas Stadium. The Cowboys then toppled the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 30, 27-17, avenging 2 4-point losses to Pittsburgh in Super Bowls 10 and 13. Coach Switzer followed Johnson to become the 2nd coach to claim a national championship in college football and a Super Bowl victory in professional football. Only one other coach, Pete Carroll, has since accomplished this feat. Since then, Dallas has never returned to the NFC Conference Championship game. 1996. Injuries and off-field incidents deviled the 1996 Cowboys. Novacek, possibly Aikman's most trusted target, suffered an off-season back injury that ended his career. Irvin was convicted of narcotics possession and suspended for the first 5 games of the season. In December, defensive tackle Leon Lett was given a 1-year suspension for failing a narcotics test. Late in the season, Irvin and Williams drew national attention when they were accused of assaulting a Dallas woman, though the allegations were later recanted. Haley and Emmitt Smith were also plagued by injuries during the season, yet Dallas still managed to earn its 5th consecutive NFC East title with a 10-6 record. The Cowboys thumped the Vikings 40-15 in the first round of the playoffs, then traveled to Carolina where they lost to the upstart Panthers 26-17 after Irvin and Sanders left the game with injuries. Preseason pundits again put the Cowboys at the top of the NFC in 1997. However, Dallas finished the season with a disappointing 6-10 record as continued discipline and off-field problems became major distractions. Switzer was arrested during the preseason after a handgun was found in his luggage at an airport metal detector. The team collapsed down the stretch, losing its final 5 games. Switzer resigned as head coach in January 1998 and was replaced by former Steelers offensive coordinator Chan Gailey. Gailey era. After missing the playoffs in 97, Gailey led the team to a 10-6 record in 1998 as Dallas became the first NFC East team to sweep the division. The Cowboys left the playoffs in the first round, however, after when the Arizona Cardinals defeated them at Texas Stadium 20-7 for their first postseason victory in half a century. Jones raised hopes in the offseason, signing fleet-footed wide receiver Rocket Ismail. 1999. The Cowboys started the 99 campaign by erasing a 21-point deficit in Washington on opening day for a 41-35 overtime victory. In their 4th game of the season, however, Dallas lost Irving to a neck injury that ended his career. Daryl Johnston also suffered a career-ending injury earlier in the season, and Aikman, Allen, Sanders, and cornerback Kevin Smith missed time as well. Dallas sputtered to an 8-8 finish in 1999. They gained a wild-card berth in their final regular season game, but lost to Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs 27-10. Key players were now grumbling about Gailey, and Jones fired him in January 2000. So, as we talked about in this era of the Dallas Cowboys, the 90s, they come back, but then, of course, turmoil between head coach Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones leads to Johnson leaving after winning their 2nd Super Bowl together. And then in comes Barry Switzer. They don't get the three-peat in 94. 95, they win another Super Bowl. And then after that, it pretty much goes all downhill again for the Cowboys. And that's where we leave today's episode. Also, like I said, and to all the people that keep coming back to watching the podcast, either on Buzzsprout, Goodpods, anywhere else we put on the podcast, even on YouTube, thank you so very much. We truly appreciate the love and support that you keep giving this podcast. And hopefully you keep giving us that love and support because we do appreciate it. I've been working on setting up a Patreon. I don't know what tiers I'm going to have, but when I do figure it out, just know it's going to be extremely affordable. I'm not looking to make huge bank right away. I'm not that type of person. I will make it affordable, and I will also still have free content, and I'll have content like when I have a big time guest on the show where one of the tiers will have that. And also looking into merchandising, which I'll talk more about that later once I figure everything out with that. Also, like I said before, please, please, please do yourself a huge service and go listen to more podcasts from the Deluxe Edition Network. They are truly amazing people. Great team headed by Casey and some other amazing people. And we love you, our loyal supporters that keep coming back and supporting us, even if sometimes our stuff doesn't look great quality or whatever. Thank you so very much. Remember, the podcast of the month is Bev's. Hold on one second. Bev's Video Kingdom. Go check them out on the Deluxe Edition Network or wherever you can find them on their socials. Thank you so very much. Tomorrow now, I will be talking about Walking Tall Part 3, the final chapter. So I will see you all tomorrow. Sorry this episode wasn't done yesterday. I kind of was under the weather again, so had to cut it where it was. So thank you so very much for listening to me today. This episode will be uploaded as soon as possible, and you'll be able to see it. Thank you, and see you tomorrow.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.